Welcome back. Now we are going to talk about reflection. And Lord knows I've already said it so many times. I know you guys are ready to figure out exactly how to use it. So reflection is not you writing Dear Diary and just jotting down notes about your day. In fact, reflection is quite a bit more strategic than that. Reflection is also one of the things that people struggle the most with because, it requires time, right? So let's say that every day you're kind of reflecting, takes 5-10 minutes. Sometimes you feel like, oh my God, I just don't have time. I'm just not in the mood to have to write anything. I'm sorry. No. And chances are, if you're in this course and you're listening to me, blah, 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 you know that reflection might be important. Hopefully you're willing to do it. 5 to 10 minutes a day. So why does reflection matter? Reflection matters because it provides clarity, you can collect data, you can start to see patterns of behavior, and if you can name a thing, right? So if I can name what some of the issues are, then I can try to figure out what it's going to take to fix them. And the real brilliance behind, in my opinion at least, reflection is that you can identify specific actions to take to improve your situation. I like to use a 4-part, 4 prompts, I guess, more or less, for reflection for people when they're starting. And obviously, as you guys get more and more well-versed in reflection, you can sort of edit your outline, the prompts that you use, how you want to answer questions to fit whatever it is that's best for you. But this is a really good jumping off point, so I'm going to run you through them, and hopefully this will be helpful. Number 1 in reflection is what happened today. So these are just facts, right? So if I say, got up normal, 3:30, did my normal run, everything was great, and then it started snowing, and then my car got stuck or wouldn't start, just overview of your day, facts, just the things that happened. Behind that, so right underneath, how does that make me feel? This one's tricky. I tend to struggle to identify emotions, and we're going to talk about that in a minute too. But being able to identify what you're feeling is a really important part of being able to improve accountability. So for example, if you have a really crap day and at the end of the day, you're like, today just did not go well. I don't feel good about it. It was terrible. You go to bed, right? That's it. But that's not really useful information. It's like, well, okay, what didn't go well today and why? Was it internal? Was it external? What can be done about it? And so asking really critical questions can help. I mean, it really does help quite a bit when it comes to performance. Next up, so we've already done facts, right? So it's like, what happened today? How do I feel about what happened today? And then next is why, right? So if what happened is, like I said, my car doesn't start, it gets stuck in the snow, the afternoon is complete trash, why did all these things happen? So this is actually a real example because I'm having car issues. Well, I have not had time to take my car in and have it fixed. And so naturally, every day that I need to drive, I'm rolling the dice a bit. Who's responsible for that? Me. I am. If something is a priority, right, if I say it's important, I need to make time for it. Now, on the other hand, let's say that my kid got sick, and that's the reason why the rest of my day went completely off the rails. How would I be feeling about, how would I be feeling about that? Well, I'd probably be feeling really frustrated. And so, why did today end up not working out well at all? Let's say I didn't get anything done. Well, the reality is what happened is life. It wasn't me. I didn't fail the plan. I just had to collapse my day, so I'd go pick up my son. Someone is sick, right? So the internal, external, that's that why answer. So if we do facts, right? How we feel, why the thing happened, last but not least, boom, is action. Number 4, what can I do? You just need a few sentences for each. But if we go back to the example I just gave you about my car, what action do I need to take to resolve the problem? Well, I need to take my car in. But that's really not enough detail. Why haven't I done it so far? Well, I'm busy, maybe the shop's across town, blah, blah, blah. Whatever the reasons are, then being able to identify, but soon I'm going to be done teaching classes for the semester and I will have more time. And so the action I need to take is to call the repair shop today and schedule an appointment. Super simple, but be specific. Now, what are you going to get out of reflection? Well, you're going to get to know yourself quite a bit more. And some of the things you're going to find out, you're going to really love. And there are going to be things that you find out that are not so great. One of the things that I've learned in reflection is that, like from a data collection standpoint, is that I tend to really want to have as much control as possible during times when I'm under stress. And the reality, of course, is that I can only control myself. And yet I see patterns of behavior where if I'm stressed out enough, I'm trying to control all of the external things that are going on around me, right? And then that just leads to disappointment and distrust. Data collection, right? So you're finally figuring out things about yourself. If this happens, I tend to react in this way. The other thing that reflection trains you to do is to look at yourself with a bit of detachment. And that's the curiosity piece. No one has ever really improved much of their life by beating themselves up. But if you start to get curious about your responses and you start to ask questions like, why is this thing happening, right? Then creative problem solving kicks in. It's really hard for us to do any kind of creative problem solving or develop or maintain a growth mindset when we are constantly judging ourselves. And this is why curiosity is nice. So reflection is asking you to ask those questions, right? Treat yourself like your own most valuable experiment. The other thing that, of course, reflection will do is help you to identify actions. And once we can identify actions, we can see, okay, is this like a one-time thing? You know, is it the repair shop? Or is the action I need to take, let's say, something more regular, like setting my alarm 15 minutes earlier every day so I'm less rushed in the morning and I have time to, meditate or drink an extra cup of coffee or, roll around in bed for a little bit longer. Who knows? Whatever the case might be, just understanding what the action is. And then if the action ends up being something that you want to become habitual, then you've now identified that. So they're the one-off behaviors, and then they're the behaviors we really want to start bringing into our lives. Reflection helps you identify what would be most helpful and why. Now, we mentioned earlier the feeling piece, right? So it's like we've got our what happened today, how do I feel about it, why did it happen, what can I do? What I want us to do is I want us to talk about the feelings part. So many, many years ago, I had two feelings. And my feelings were, things were interesting. I felt like they were interesting, right? Or I felt like today was okay. Today was decent. So it was interesting or decent. And that's it. And a big part of that is because I don't like feeling disappointed. But in order for me to change behavior, in order for me to be able to target things that, I can improve, I do actually need to be able to name some of the emotions that I'm feeling. So the feelings wheel, which you're going to have a link for, and I hope y'all will check out, does a really nice job of showing all kinds of different feelings that we're having. And just to give you a quick snapshot example, one of the things that I found is that I tend to feel a lot of embarrassment and shame. So when I want to avoid, which I have an avoidant personality anyway, when I want to avoid, it tends to be because I feel shame or embarrassment. And if that's happening, then I know something's wrong with what I'm doing. But I wouldn't have been able to identify that without the feelings wheel. It was just like an icky, gross feeling. But being able to say it's like shame and embarrassment, well, that's disappointment, right? And if I name that, then I feel more pressure and more clarity around what I need to be doing to change it. Next activity. We are just moving on through this, aren't we, guys? I want you to think about the 4 parts of reflection. Listing off the facts, saying how you feel, figuring out why things are happening the way they're happening, and what you can do about it. Which area is easiest for you to examine and why, and which tends to be the most challenging? I want you to identify that because most of us do struggle in one of those 4 areas when it comes to reflection. I've shared with you that mine was feelings. That was the hard part, right? And of course, there are a million reasons why. And to be like perfectly transparent, mine is that, feelings felt like weakness a lot of the time. And so I'd avoid wanting to talk about those. But naturally, I needed to know those things in order to be able to better plan for myself, which will also improve performance. And I like to improve performance. So identifying what's challenging and being able to answer why and which part you tend to be very, very good at. And for me, it's the action. If I tell myself, and this is what you need to do about it, and I put it in my planner, I will turn around and I will do it the next day. Now, not everyone's going to be great at the action piece. Not everyone's going to be great at being able to list out all of the facts of the day because it feels like pressure. Feelings can be awkward. Some of us are great with feelings. Some of us can name the feelings long before we can name any of the other things. But figuring out what those strengths and weaknesses are in yourself will help.